Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine, Krnjetin, and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Agent Upgrade is back. Welcome to the show. Jasmine, as always, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you, Alan. I'm excited about our episode today. Things are going good for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're officially in the summer season here. I feel like, summer weather as well, summer real estate market, everything that comes with summer. And, as every good agent knows, as soon as you plan your vacations, that's when all the business comes. Well, not just planning. Once you leave for vacation, that's when all the business comes in. So happy vacationing for all the agents up there. Hopefully, if you don't have a good backup now, this is the seed right now to plant those good backups and get ahead of, a good friend, an agent friend, maybe taking over some of your clients and vice versa. So you're not losing business over the summer.
Yeah, I think that the summer is supposed to be a really busy travel summer. So I think everybody's is catching up for the last couple of years. They haven't been traveling. So good luck finding an agent to be your backup.
Right. And there's a lot of buyers out there right now, and they need a lot of showings.
Yes.
Bidding war after bidding war. My summer plans, I'm actually going to be in town this summer. I try to really take advantage of my summers, and we are planning a major home renovation that's going to require us to move out of our house. But like everyone's home renovation plans, things kept getting delayed, waiting on approvals and permits and supplies and getting on the contractor's schedule. So now it looks like those plans are sort of on hold. Well, not on hold. They're still moving forward, but probably we don't have to move out till the end of the summer. So we were expecting to be sort of finding a rental place and in between homes and really sort of focusing on getting settled in a new house this summer. But now we've got the whole summer in this house that I'm in now and no plans. So we're it's kind of nice in some ways, something different. It's really quiet now around the summer and when we're usually out of town, adding to sort of the slowdown of things. But so now we're trying to find little, 4 or 5 hour drives from Atlanta to go vacation, which we haven't really done. We usually kind of try to travel big, save up all year and make a big vacation in the summer. But now we're doing little side 3 days, 4 days here. And I think it'll be, something different and something we're excited about.
I love it. That sounds fun. There is a lot of cool places to go. And then if you're not too far away, it's easier to jump back in should you need to. Should some contractor line up miraculously, right. You're not going to be
mostly be in our time zone, reachable by phone, have internet. But I know you're still away. I would imagine this summer how long is this trip right now going to be that you're on? And does that basically kill all your summer travel plans or not?
We shall see. I think we're going to be gone for at least another couple weeks here in Serbia, visiting with my dad. And then we're probably going to get back home and, vacation in our home again. It's going to feel new and fresh. We've been gone for a couple months. Yeah, right. It's going to be like, oh, yay, my own bathroom and a bathtub. Yay. So it'll be fun to be back home. When you've been gone long enough that you miss home, it's a good feeling. So.
Yeah. And if you guys are just catching up, and we talked about this on the previous episode, Jasmine originally went on a week-long trip, maybe a 10-day trip. It's turned into about 60 days, not necessarily because you're just on a whim and wanting to extend vacation, COVID travel restrictions, getting
extensions.
Back. Extension after extension. And so you made the most of it, which is always a sign of a great entrepreneur. Those opportunities turn all the negatives into positives. So, we miss you back home, but also glad to see you're doing well and thriving over there. So that being said, we have a bit of a hallmark episode today. Milestone reached. Our first repeat guest is coming back today. One of our most discussed and some, to me at least, people who I've talked to talk about this episode to me quite often. Jess Lenouvel in episode 24 and how she runs the listing lab. And it's basically for top agents making over $100,000, how to really grow their business. Her steps were great. I know you and I both took a lot from her social media feedback, her examples and stories, and very, very impactful guest and one of our favorite episodes. So it's exciting to have Jess back in the studio here at Agent Upgrade. Jess, good to see you.
Hello. I'm super happy to be back. I can't believe I'm your first repeat guest. I'm honored.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was great. We're close to 50. I'm not sure what episode this will be out, but I think you'll be around in the low 50s. But you were 24, so you're like our halfway point. Now you're a current point.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. You were due. Yeah.
Yeah, we get to catch up with you because I remember when we last talked to you, you were also planning on moving out of the country. So tell us about your world. Where are you, and what's that like for you?
So since we talked last, I have moved to Eleuthera, Bahamas. We've been here for 4 months, just over 4 months, 4.5 months. Guys, life is good. We're having a great time. We're finally, like, I would say, settled in. Traveling a little bit, but for the most part, like, this has become I think the main event for most of our friends and family. We've had like this revolving door of guests.
People.
Right.
So yeah, I think that since we moved here, we've only had a week and a half where we haven't had people here. So it's been amazing, but it's also been crazy. But yeah, we're here. We're super happy. We're having a good time.
So you were in Toronto before, is that correct?
I was. Yeah, I was in Toronto. I've been in Toronto essentially my whole life.
Okay. And you grew up a team there and was a very successful real estate agent, sort of turned into coaching.
Yep.
And then you're still doing the coaching. What brought you to the Bahamas?
There were a couple of things. My husband and I posted an Instagram reel kind of about this a little bit this morning. My husband and I went on our our third date to Jamaica. We moved very quickly.
Yeah.
And, we kind of fell in love in Jamaica, and we sort of said right from the beginning, at some point, we're going to live somewhere tropical. No questions asked. Like, it was just always in the cards. And we built the real estate business. And, that was really great because the way that it was leveraged, I had a ton of freedom and we took off all the time. When we shifted over and created the listings lab, it just created this extra opportunity to really be essentially 100% virtual. And COVID sort of exacerbated the whole thing where we were like, everybody's getting even more used to everything being virtual. So why not? The timing is perfect. We flew down here. We make decisions very quickly. So we flew down here. We stayed here for a couple of days. We saw one house, which is the house that I'm currently sitting in. And that was it. We bought the house. We moved in a couple months later, and the rest is history.
So, being a realtor, doing business in the Bahamas, anything different or unusual or interesting that the way real estate transactions are done?
Yeah, it is a little bit different. I mean, obviously, I'm not transacting here. I'm not licensed here, but it's a little bit different. It's like you find in some other countries like Australia and things like that, where there are no buyer's agents. You have a listing and the full amount of the commission is paid to the listing agent. People don't get paid or there's no commission for finding a buyer. So the search process was a little bit interesting too, because you contact an agent and they show you what they have.
Nothing else.
It's not one of those situations. Yeah, it's done quite differently. Holy smokes, for foreigners, there's a big tax hit to buy property here. but yeah, I mean, it's done differently. It's done differently. The actual fee structure is much higher. So the agent typically gets, the 6%, which, is pretty standard in a lot of places. But then you also pay a percentage to the lawyer, a percentage of the purchase price to the lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Which I think for us was 1.5%, which is a big chunk. And then there's also a VAT. So we paid 10% of the purchase price in tax as well.
Just because you're a foreigner.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the price of paradise, Jess, I guess.
Yeah. You know what? It's done. It's out of my account. I don't think about it. It was painful the day of, for sure, but we're over it.
Yeah.
And we're here.
Sorry, real quick. Jeff thinks he's being sneaky, crawling on the floor behind Jasmine, but it's trying to get out of the screen. So I know people listening to the podcast don't see that, but it was quite entertaining. And Jasmine had to mute herself.
Sorry. I'm just trying to keep my straight face.
Yeah. Sorry, slight distraction there. I apologize, Jess. But
I'm sorry, you guys.
we're going to celebrate something for you, Jess, as well. Big news. You have a brand new book out. Why don't you tell us about that? It's got 5-star ratings. It's the #1 new release in the real estate sales category on Amazon right now. Congratulations to you.
Yeah,
why don't you tell us the title?
Thank you.
A little bit about it.
So we're actually also #1 bestseller period in Canada. So the book's doing really well.
Yeah.
It's called More Money, Less Hustle: Becoming the 7-Figure Real Estate Agent. I was not the person who grew up wanting to write a book. Mm-hmm. It wasn't on my radar. It wasn't one of those things that I was like super excited about. But in the last couple of years, I just realized that there were so many books out there that were validating this hustle culture, this like hustle grind, no pain, no gain type culture, especially in real estate. And so it really came down to, I just realized that if no one else was going to say it, someone had to. That's where the book really came out of. I dictated most of it. It was really just, this is all of the things that kind of have to come out. And that's really where it came from. It was a labor of love. That's for sure. It wasn't, I don't know how else to describe it. It was just one of those things that kind of poured out of me. And I didn't really feel like, I don't know. I dictated it, and then I had to get help editing it. Because it felt like it came from this like such an authentic place that once it was out, I was like, someone else needs to clean it up.
Right. I love
because
that.
It's just like it's taken everything out of me. It's out there. Like I got it out.
Somebody now make it into something. Make it
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, one of the first reviews here is, you have to be radically honest with yourself is what you teach. And Jess puts together a cohesive plan that is simple and yet difficult at the same time. So can you give us some insight what maybe that plan would be for most agents out there? Yeah.
So the book is broken down into 7 pillars. We really kind of took it and broke it into what are the key pillars to a 7-figure business. Right. And again, everything that we teach and every part of this or every aspect of it is geared towards, again, more money, less hustle. There's no like get motivated and, rah every day. It's really geared towards how do we set your business up in order for you to have the most possible freedom and the most leverage. And it really it consistently comes down to making sure that the goal is lifestyle based and not only revenue or GCI based. And I think it's so easy to get caught up on a consistent basis with the numbers. And a lot of the time, and this is really controversial, and I say it all the time, and people sometimes love it and sometimes hate it. It really comes down to successful agents are usually in and around that like $250,000 to $500,000 mark. And I say all the time that is the most painful place to be in your business. Why would you ever want to stop there? Because you are successful, you're seen as successful, but you don't have the revenue or the profit margins to properly scale, to fully leverage, and to get yourself out of production. And a lot of the time what ends up happening is you are the thing that turns the wheel of the business every single day. It becomes really, really difficult for anyone to enjoy the success, have the lifestyle that they got into the business for at that level. And I mean, there's going to be people who are listening to this that are like, she's crazy. I would die to have a $500,000 business. And I agree with you up until to a certain point, until you're there. And when you get there, I think the reality of it isn't actually as rosy as people think it is. And there's a reason why I teach 7-figure scaling. And it's because it's not about being a millionaire. It's not about having 7 figures in the bank. It's about the lifestyle that comes with being able to do that. Every single person got into real estate for 3 reasons. It was to have unlimited income, to be able to set your own schedule, and to be able to help people. And when you are the bottleneck of your business, you don't actually get to have any of those things.
Right.
And so it requires actually scaling past that in order to have that trifecta and truly being able to enjoy what you've built.
I love that phrase, the bottleneck of your business. And I think that that's where I was, at least last year, one of my biggest years I've ever had, in that 500K range. And I was burned out. Like I was grinding. I was all hustle. It was the opposite of what you're saying. More money, less hustle. Yeah. I was all hustle. And I just didn't have that work-life balance. I didn't have, I couldn't say no. I thought I had to be involved in every single aspect. As much I had trouble letting go. I wanted to just do more. And I just realized it was unsustainable. It wasn't enjoyable.
There's a lot of burnt out agents out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
especially
the traditional ways that we're exactly right. And I think the traditional ways that we've been taught to grow a real estate business, it's very limiting. Like, it'll get you to a certain point, but then, everybody burns out. I was in exactly the same boat. The very first time I hit 7 figures in my real estate business, I did it with myself and my husband. And my phone would ring and I would cry and I would hand my phone to my husband and make him answer it because I genuinely could not give anymore. I was exhausted all the time. And so, the first time I did it the wrong way, which is why I'm so adamant about how the systems and the automations and the leverage and understanding what the life goal is, as opposed to just what the revenue goal is. It makes a huge difference because if you have to build the entire business off of your own back, then we end up with this entire generation of burnt out agents. When we have an entire generation of burnt out agents, we end up with a lot of unhappy clients. And then again, the entire real estate industry gets an even worse reputation than we already have. And we're seen as even less valuable, which creates more gaps for iBuyers and, these low commission companies to come in. And it's this perpetual cycle that is, just kind of like a series of mistakes that all have this kind of compounding impact on the industry as a whole. So I think that when we go right back to the beginning, when we have super highly leveraged, really niche down expert agents who are amazing at what they do, have tons of free time, can deliver a service to 1,000 people perfectly, have really, really happy clients, then from there, the entire it's the rising tide, right? We end up with the entire industry benefits from that. And then we're not seen as, an outdated industry that, is on its way out. We're seen as a super valuable industry that's able to give so much value and help and support, and the delivery process for every client is super, super streamlined and happy. This is why I also believe that there should be fewer agents out there, right? The more really amazing agents that we have, the better the whole industry is. And then, yes, I tend to focus on the individual agents, but there's a reason why, and it kind of feeds into my vision for the industry as a whole. And that is happier, healthier, leveraged agents and teams that make us all look good and kind of make the entire industry look better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the future is to just compete. It's going to be sort of the teams. Almost the team culture is definitely the sustainable model. And it's going to be hard because everyone's going to get, that individual agent's going to get burned out. If they're trying to grow their career. I mean, there are very successful agents who are just like, I just need 3-4 deals a year, and that's all I need, and I'm fine. Like, I think that there's always going to be a place for that. But the ones who want to sort of just be a top agent, you have to surround yourself with a team. So, well, I'll tell you what I've done, and I'm curious if this matches what you do in your book.
Yeah.
And my hunch is it's not, and I need to read your book and do it your way. But I just got out of production. Like you said, I'm going to stop showing homes. I'm going to stop going on listing appointments, get a team. I've got 6 agents on my team now, and I will coach them and mentor them. I'm involved, but I'm not physically getting in my car and driving places. And so, I'm about 6 months into this. I want to call it an experiment, but this new formation of things. It's been difficult letting go some things. It's, definitely some of the agents took different approaches than I would have had. Actually, some of those approaches worked and some of them didn't. So who's no to say that mine would have been better, right? But that was like a learning process for me. But I'm curious, what's the first maybe step that you would do if an agent listening is like, I just can't sustain this anymore. I'm burned out, but I want to stay in real estate, and I've got great lead generation.
I think that there's a couple of, you need to do an audit. Everything in any kind of a business decision starts with an audit. And I think that the mistakes that agents make is they don't get clear on what needs to come off their plate and how. For some people, it will make sense for them to hire agents. For some people, it'll make sense to hire admins and VAs first. It really depends on the business model, and it depends on what the lead agent's strengths and weaknesses are. So everything that we do always starts with an audit. I even included a link to our internal audit that we use with our highest level clients in the book, because I think that part is so unbelievably important. Because, the other thing too is I think most teams grow too quickly. I would rather have, 2 agents on a team that are each doing 50 deals a year than have 10 agents on the team doing 10 deals a year, right? I think when we dilute it too much, again, we lose expertise, and we lose the ability to create better success within the team that we have. I never had a huge team either. And I teach small, lean teams because it's better for culture. It's better for the longevity and commitment of people, because you don't want to have a constant revolving door of agents on your team.
Right.
And again, if you're on a team and you're doing 50 to 100 deals a year and everything else is taken off your plate and automated for you, it's a really great business. Mm-hmm. And not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur and run a team. So you end up with a lot more loyalty and a lot of really happy agents on your team. Most people will just kind of take what they can get from team members. And I think that is, again, a big mistake. I think that it is unbelievably important that you have the right people in the right seats. You understand what each person on your team's zone of genius is. We heavily test people before we hire or before we suggest hires. So we know exactly what personality type, what strengths and weaknesses, what skill sets and everything is actually required for a person to be a perfect fit for a role. And it's, again, the cliche of hire slow, fire fast. Right. So we do the audit first. So the audit is number one. And let's say that you're a single agent right now and you're feeling super burnt out. The first thing that we do is we call it an energy audit. It's basically everything that you're doing on a weekly basis mapped out. And then we look at it from two different angles. One, is it within your zone of genius? Do you love it, love doing it? And are you really good at it? So the things that you're not good at and that you don't really love doing, that's the very first thing that comes off your plate. For most people, it's going to be admin. It's for most people, it's going to be admin, or it's going to be something that's not selling. So that usually has to come off their plate. We get roles and responsibilities for exactly what that hire looks like. A lot of the time it can be a VA, and it doesn't have to be a full-time administrator. I think there's a lot of people who make that mistake as well. But we always want to ask the question, and this is from Tim Ferriss, can it be eliminated? Can it be automated? And then can it be outsourced? So outsourcing is your last resort after the automation piece, because there's a lot of people out there who are paying salaries to people. You know, they're paying $20 an hour or $50,000 a year or whatever it looks like for a human being to do something that a piece of software can do for, $200 a year. And so we want to look at the efficiency, not only the efficiency of the actual steps of the business, but also the efficiency in terms of the financials. And again, from a profit first standpoint, it always makes sense to automate before we outsource. So we want to look at all of that. The other angle that we want to look at things are the value of the tasks that are on the audit, right? Are they $1,000 an hour tasks? Are they $250 an hour tasks? Are they $10 an hour tasks? Because most agents are burnt out $20 an hour tasks every day. And then what they do is they scale a team, and they become the secondary admin for all the people on their team, which is the opposite of what was intended.
The opposite of what you need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
They end up they end up picking up the slack of all of the people on their team who they've essentially created like an administrative job for themselves, which is not the point, right? The idea behind this is that we want to get team leaders to a point where they're working 3 hours a day and generating 7 figures in profit. And what they're working on are the $1,000 plus an hour tasks every day that are within their zone of genius.
I also find it like if you are too much of a perfectionist, if you will, then you do end up being that constantly micromanaging what's going on the team. And again, that is not $1,000 an hour job. Did this email get sent?
No,
did this thing get done?
100%. Every single thing in your business, you can be a perfectionist if you have systems. If you have a standard operating procedure that every single person follows for every single thing in your business, you don't have to micromanage. And I think that it's an organizational issue that I think a lot of teams have, where they don't have standard operating procedures. So they end up essentially being that consistent,
the enforcer.
When you when you have these super clear SOPs for each and everything, it makes the business super easy. And it makes each person on the team 100% clear on how everything is done. And then the delivery, whether it be an email or whether it be a feature sheet, or, how a client is handled, or how buyer consultations are handled, or whatever it is, there's a standard way of doing it. And every single person who comes into your world or into your organization is having the same and consistent experience, no matter who they're dealing with.
That makes complete sense. That's coming from the corporate world before real estate. I mean, that's every company I worked at. Like, this is the way we handle this situation, and read this manual for this. And it was like, I didn't even have to make decisions.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's the whole, let's treat this like a real business.
Yeah.
I do feel though that in some way the people that have the best organizational skills are going to be the people that are going to win at this game. Like if you are super disorganized yourself, it's almost like you need to hire, your first hire should be somebody who can help you think through, like I can think of like many real estate agents. If I told them, hey, we need to work on a standard operating procedure for every single thing you do in your business, they would just be like, holy crap, I don't even know where to start.
It's super easy to do though. It's super easy to do because all they have to do, a VA can build out the SOPs. It doesn't have to be someone who is like an ops expert. A VA can do it as long as you can document it. So it's like, okay, well, instead, every single time you go to do something, you turn on a screen recording software like Loom and you talk through it as you're doing it. It goes to the VA, the SOP gets built. It gets to be a really simple process. I think that what ends up happening is people get overwhelmed because they overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that SOP gets to get looked at and it's like, okay, well, now the question becomes the SOP is created. Can this be eliminated? Can it be automated? Can it be outsourced? Right. And maybe there's a piece of software and it doesn't even have to be the team lead that looks for it. A VA can do it. An administrator can do it, can go out into the world and say, okay, is there a piece of software that can do this without this having to be like a manual thing? Right. I have even in my organization, Ashley is my head of operations and she knows my brain so well at this point that I can send her a 2-word message and she can send me a 15-minute Loom video on exactly what I was thinking. She's like, I got it. Can you just confirm with me that this is what you were like, what this meant? Okay, great. I got it. And I don't have to think about it. And I think that what that allows me to do is to sit in the seat of visionary. I don't have to worry about any of the organizational things in the business. The business is a well-oiled machine and I get to be creative and spacious and I get to be the connector and the face and I get to come on podcasts and talk to amazing people like you guys instead of me constantly being worried about, okay, did this email get sent or what's on my checklist today? Or did this follow-up happen? Like I have absolutely 100% no concern about that because I know it's done and I know it's taken care of.
So would you say that one of the critical pieces in getting to where you are was just this idea of giving yourself permission to do only the things that you are really good at and not feeling like, well, everybody else is grinding and here I am sitting as a visionary, like,
well, that's the thing, right? That's the thing is every single person in my company is sitting in their zone of genius and loves what they do every day.
Yeah.
Right. So even everybody, like I'll give you an example. Amanda manages all of my Facebook groups. She is the person who handles everything. She books appointments. She is like the happiest person. I get like appreciation messages from her because she's doing exactly what she enjoys. She loves what she does on a daily basis. She feels like she's moving things forward and is having an impact every day. And so a lot of it comes down to if you have the right people in the right seats, everyone's going to be super happy with what they're doing and nobody's going to feel the grind. Every person has this zone that they actually get energy from instead of feel like they're expending energy into. And it's really about finding those right people. And again, it comes down to like, if you're having to micromanage someone on your team, there's 2 reasons. 1, you didn't set them up for success. Or 2, that they might be the right person in the wrong seat. So or they might just be the wrong person. Right. So it really comes down to being incredibly intentional. And this business doesn't grow unless I grow. Like on Wednesday, I'm going to Croatia for a week to go to a mastermind. my team has wiped my calendar. And they've said, your only role while you're there is to observe and learn and talk to people who are more successful than we are, because that's where the best is going to come from. And I think that team leaders don't do enough masterminding, and they don't do enough growing and reading, and, you know, because they don't have time, because they've got their fingers in 100 different pies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it does. I mean, there is some, like, I call it visionary guilt every once in a while, where like I'm, you know, I live on the beach, where I'm sitting by the pool and I see our Discord going, like, I'll open Discord and it'll go boom, 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 boom. Right. And I'm thinking, they're working so hard, and I'll go to like put my fingers in something, and Ashley will slap my wrists and say, get out of here. We've got this.
That's
I actually
awesome.
have someone on my team who actually takes things off my calendar. She's like, this isn't your job. Get out of here.
That's great. I think a lot of top agents are that visionary mentality, because they're entrepreneurial to begin with. They're working for themselves, and they get to the top. And, you know, I like you said, like managing that Facebook group that Amanda does for you, like, I can't think of a worse job for myself. Like, that is,
I know, right?
Right. But coming up with like ideas and a team where it's like, hey, let's go get this business. Let's go do this. Like, just come ideas, like constant creative, like idea, like that's all I think about all day. And I would imagine if I went to someone like Amanda and said, hey, give me, 10 great ideas to generate leads this month, and she'll be like, what? Like free. Like, that's probably her worst job. So I think there's 100% agree with finding the right, peg for the right hole, the right, personality for the right job kind of thing.
I love
well,
it.
even just based on what you just said, this idea of like, I don't have to come up with 10 ideas for generating leads. And the agents that we work with don't either, because they've built out this automated machine that brings in, nurtures, converts, it's this tap of business. And that's where you create that unlimited scalability piece. Right. And I just had this conversation right before I got on with you guys with our 7-figure agent program. We did what we call a 6-lever audit, which is what are the 6 levers that we get to play with to double your business over the next year, and figuring out where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are. And everybody goes to lead generation. And when we actually break it down, for 90% of them, lead generation is actually not what they need. It's looking at some of the other pillars within their business and deciding, okay, you know what, if I dropped 100 new deals on you, what would happen? And all of them have said, or 100 new leads, like 100 new really qualified leads. Is the nurture there? Is the sales capacity and the sales training there? Are these people going to get converted at 100%? How's the delivery going to be? If you have 100 deals dropped on you today, most people's delivery is going to break. Then the delivery leads into the repeats and the referrals, and then the repeats. If you did 50 deals last year, and you got one referral from each of those 50 people, then you would be starting the year with 50 deals, and you have the ability then with your current business model to double your business. It's really just breaking down each minute piece of the business and looking at it instead of just constantly chasing the lead gen, which I think is the mistake that most agents make. Yes, the lead gen is part of it, but it's all of these pieces that come after it that matters. I'm kind of a believer that anybody can generate leads. It's probably the simplest thing that you can do. It's what happens to that person after they become a lead. Is everything else super tight and automated and done in such a way that you would grade yourself a 10 out of 10 on each individual piece, so that absolutely nothing falls through the cracks. And that's the way that the business becomes the most efficient.
Wow.
I think that's a wake up call for me. I'm just bought your book, so I'm excited. This is what I need. I need this. But yeah, you're right. Like my default is, let's go get more leads. When probably the default should be, hey, when things are slow, let's maybe narrow in on a very much part of the the business. Yeah, create a standard operating procedure, and then get those sort of harder tasks done. That's.
I think it's the less sexy stuff that actually then once it's set up, you only have to do it once. And then once it's done, and then that automation will serve you forever, and then you never have to worry about it again, and you get to focus in on the other things that actually kind of give you life and that make you happy and that grow the business, and that there's a small section of wow, this isn't my favorite thing that you kind of go through, and then you get to step into that seat of like, okay, now this is all my favorite things.
Yeah. Like the reward is worth it. Like, I always have to remind myself that with like real estate investing or something. It's like, man, it's a pain in the butt to whatever, get a mortgage, then get a home inspection, then get like this, and then get that. And then, but it's like, but all those little things that are annoying, like acquiring the house and renovating it or passive income, like that is those little things that were annoying. Like the reward is so big at the end. I can totally see that happening here. Like if you've got that visionary personality, like thinking about that minute details, like I think I've avoided it because that is not how I think. Like, but now it's but if I would just do it once, then I can do more of my zone of genius, what you call. You
get to forget about it. And exactly. I say this all the time. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to record myself doing it. I'm going to send it to my VA. My VA is going to take an SOP, and I never have to do it again. Imagine that every single time that you're doing something,
do it once,
is the last time you have to do that thing.
You'll do it really, really well.
You do it really, really well, and then like you get to like it's this constant celebration of like, oh, I never have to do that again.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. Yeah. Now that gets to be either automated or it gets to be outsourced to someone who is going to be far better at it than I am.
So this, I think, like what I'm taking from this, and maybe some of our listeners are like, okay, I get it. I got to get a VA, virtual assistant, someone remote. Where do you find a good VA? Where do you go? What do you ask? How do you vet them? Like, 'cause to me, you're putting your hands into this VA, and to me, that's a big component. So if that is what people take from this episode as next steps, where they start looking and what do they do?
So I've gone through and vetted 1,000 VA companies. The company that I like the best is they're called 1MT, the number 1MT. And I know the owners. I really, really like them. I like them because they will actually find out what you need and then hire accordingly, and then help that person from a training standpoint get as much up to speed as they can. So you're not just it's not just a placement. It's also like they coordinate the right fit, and they take that part of it off of your plate. I think that all of our current VAs have come through 1MT, and I actually just bought out one of our initial VAs that we ever hired through them. I actually just bought him out from their company, and he now is essentially our head VA and runs the entire VA section of our company because he was that good. So
that's great. And then where is 1MT based? I'm just curious.
Austin, Texas, I think.
Oh, okay. But, so these VAs are Americans, and are they being based?
No. So most of the VAs are Filipino.
Okay. Yeah.
Most of them are Filipino, and they're paid fairly. They're not going to be the cheapest VA company, and I would highly suggest that you don't look for the cheapest VA company. But the cost of the VA will be dependent on their skill set and their experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I got another recommendation from another friend of mine, onlinejobs.ph, which is a Filipino sort of like freelancer place as well. And it seems like time and time again, that's sort of the sweet spot where great English, very reliable, willing to work your hours or their hours. I know I get some things done where, record some videos, send it off to Philippines, and then when I wake up in the morning, they've been edited and they're ready to go, kind of thing. So whether you have overnight tasks or you need people to work your hours, there's some flexibility there, for sure. And I think that's a crucial part of growing a business and or maintaining your sanity, having that work-life balance. And I follow people on Twitter who are in this space, and they talk about how they've got 16 VAs. All doing different tasks, and it running a massive, company of in the real estate world, just off 16 VAs, kind of thing. And everything gets done because he's got to work in different shifts and different skill sets, working different parts of the business. And it's a well-oiled machine, but it's just setting it up one step at a time until it really sort of, you see the machine run. Yeah.
And there are things that within a real estate business that can be done virtually, and there's things that need to be done locally, and it's finding the right balance between the two and looking at the overall efficiency. And, the VAs that we have that are overseas in our company, they're just as much a part of the community and the family as the people who are here. It's poor Vincent. Vincent's our head VA, and I end every call with my team with "I love you." It's just the way I am. And poor Vincent. It took him almost a year for him to not blush and hide every time I was like, "Hey Vincent, bye, I love you." Right? But yeah, he's fully engrossed in the culture of our team, and he's absolutely invaluable. And, I will say to him, I'll be like, "Vincent, when's the last time you took a week off?" And he'll be like, "Oh, VAs don't take weeks off." And I'm like, "Yes, they do." Go away. Right. And I think that it's important that we take care of every single person on the team equally. Right. That's probably the thing that has not only created the most, and what we teach our agents as well, created the most, not only the most efficiency, the most loyalty. You don't want team members burnt out either. We talk all the time about eliminating burnout for the team lead, but it trickles all the way down. It's very easy for the team lead not to get burnt out and have an entire team of people below them that are all burnt out and overworked. And we task audit every single person on our team on a regular basis. And we're constantly removing things from their plate and asking exactly the same questions. It starts from the top down, of course, but, then, our coaches get asked, our VAs get asked. We task and energy audit them. What can be eliminated? What can be automated? Is this even, Vincent, there are things that are no longer in his kind of wheelhouse from a task cost standpoint. Okay, Vincent no longer does the $10 an hour tasks because Vincent, his time is worth more than that. And so we're constantly creating this, it's not a hierarchy, but it is, in terms of, outsourcing and looking at the efficiency of every single person's time on the team.
So it sounds like you have one VA managing some of the other VAs. Is that what you're trying? I love that, because to me, it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to manage 20 people emailing me asking questions, but why don't you outsource that management of the 20 people? Yeah.
Well, and my team, I get a lot of emails, and my team actually goes through my entire email every day before I get up, before I'm even awake in the morning. The only things that are left in my email when I wake up in the morning are the things that only I can respond to, or that only I need to look at. And it's just little tiny things like that that just elevate everything.
Right.
And it really, it really comes down to every single person has to be happy and healthy and enjoying what they're doing every day and bought into the vision for what we're creating and what we're doing. The same thing goes for a real estate team.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you create a community and like people who are loyal and who aren't just going to come and learn from you and leave.
Right. This is really interesting because I feel like last episode you really sort of drove home how to run a good like social media account, and I left there with like a clear vision of what needed to be done, and giving the confidence to do it and actually put the wheels in motion. And now I feel like this episode's sort of like that with VAs, and it's like, oh, that makes complete sense. I just what would Jess do, right? Is that what WW?
I would, and I'm not saying this just to toot the book's horn, but it's so much more than that. I honestly would highly recommend reading it. I think on Amazon you can still get the Kindle version for like $7 or like maybe even less. Like I think it's $7. I promise you it's worth the $7. Because the entire book will break down the different pillars of your business. And we actually created a course that is free with the book that will actually give specific, more detailed training than I could fit in the actual book itself. So there's the book and the chapters that are in the book. And then there's the 7-figure starter kit that actually breaks down the pillars with the training for each one, as well as the energy audit template and like all of that. I tried to make it as valuable as I possibly could.
Now,
That's amazing.
Is this book for like agents who are already killing it and a top performer, or where in their career would this book sort of
It's kind of for everyone. If you're already at a higher level, you will 100% rework your business from this book. If you are a newer agent and you read it, you won't make the mistakes. So
never too early to start, right?
Yeah, I think it'll give you a lot more clarity on the future and how you should be building versus, the cleaning up a mess that's been made kind of idea.
And that book is More Money, Less Hustle, Becoming the 7-Figure Real Estate Agent. Jess Lenouvel, once again, thank you so much for joining Agent Upgrade. You and your listening lab doing great work. And tell us a little bit again, remind us about the coaching that you offer for the listings lab.
Yeah, so we have 3 different programs. They are each tiered depending on where that person is in their business. We have a program that's geared towards people who are not yet at 6 figures, getting them to 6 figures. We have the listings lab, which is, our kind of, the flagship program, which is 6 to 7 figures from a marketing foundation standpoint. And then we have our 7-figure agent program, which is everything we've been talking about, the leverage, the automation, the creating that multi 7-figure business with freedom.
Love it. I think every agent wants that. So there's your how-to. There's your standard operating procedure on how
right there. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. You're the best.
Appreciate it.
You guys are the best. Thank you for having me. If there's anything I can do for you guys, please let me know.
Yeah, well, we're excited to create a new milestone and have you back for a 3rd time. Be the first person to do that. So
I love it. Thanks,
go write another book.
Yeah. You just have to let us come visit you.
Go get the book.
Bahamas. Yeah.
Deal. Open invite.
Perfect.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.